Anyway, today's so as you know, every Wednesday I do a segment called Why This Sucks on Wednesday, and this week is going to be on why sports games suck. And this actually came out from our Monday conversation on all of the PS5 game announcements, one of which was obviously 2K21. And this was like one of the weirdest announcements because it had like no gameplay footage or anything like that, which most of them didn't, but it had an athlete come on and actually promote it. So it's gonna be a little bit of a weird take. Obviously, I have some of you that know me know I have played sports games in the past. I've never been a serious sports game fan, so I'm not speaking from someone that's like diehard in sports video games, but I still think I have an interesting take on this. So we'll see where it goes. So kind of starting out, one of the first things that I take issue with is, and this is probably the most solid point of the argument. So one of the biggest things I have issue with sports games is that they have like nothing change between year to year. So it's pretty much the easiest and cheapest game to produce. Like, to make a sports game is literally it's like so cheap comparatively to other games, because all you have to do is run it through, and like I'm not going to try to like say that it's not work, that it's not hard, but comparatively to all these other games that are being developed and designed, you're pretty much taking the same game, you're updating it slightly, you're running it maybe through like improving the graphics slightly, but and then you're just pushing it out. And the problem is like the graphics aren't even like up to date with like you'd think that they would be even better, because like this is like a flagship game for some consoles. Like some people just buy consoles for sports games. So I'm not, none of this is me arguing sales. Obviously the games are like selling well, but really they're not like, they're literally just like an improved, they're just like an improved graphics slightly. You improve a couple models, you introduce a new roster, and then you turn out a new game. And it's like people still like eat that up. People still just are like dying to buy these games because it's the new game. And I'm not sure how many people actually even notice the difference between the new games. My brother is a big Madden player, and he talks about the new Madden coming out. I guess he's one of the few people that I've heard or ever seen playing the story mode of them. But I'm just so like, I don't understand how people would like buy year after year, spend $60 to buy a new game on top of like paying to like keep your roster updating and all this stuff, and like to like some people even buy like in-game like I know they used to have, I know FIFA at least has like the actual like loot like boxes you can pay for. Like I don't understand like how honestly I think more of my critique comes from the actual like developer side, and like I feel like everyone that buys these games has such low expectations for what the new games are going to be. Like you'd think with the amount of money being pumped into these games, they would put a little bit more effort into making a better version. So that like my just initial gripe, like off the top, is like it's just so cheap. It is so cheap. Like they're putting nothing into making so much with these games. It's almost like it's even worse than like the Call of Duty games, which like also like at least the Call of Duty games like innovate a little bit. I mean, sure, they're also a reinventation of the same thing over and over again, but at least they're like doing like introducing new maps and like having some different game modes, and sometimes they have new zombies maps which are super fun and well thought out. Like those things are like at least like changing some things and making it a new product. But you're literally just getting an update. You're paying for an update. Like really, like Madden 2K21 is going to be 2K20 with an update. That's literally the only difference between the other game, the like 2K20 and 2K21 is like, you could, with any other game, this would just be an update. But for this game, it's like a whole new game that they're going to sell you for like $60 and people are going to go buy them. So it's like, I don't have any issue with people that like sports games, I get that, like, I get the general concepts of sports games, right? I get like why you like sports games, but like, and I'm actually gonna attack that a little bit later. But like, the real issue is like, you're paying $60 for an update. Really, I mean, the amount of money they're spending on it is so nominal compared. I'd love to see their margins. I don't know where to find that kind of stuff, but I would love to see their profit margin. I would assume that they probably pay twice or three times as much marketing the games than they actually spend making these games. Like, they're probably super cheap, which is unsurprising because they're coming from EA, and EA is the cheapest of all developers. So no surprise there that they're skimping on that as well. So you'd think, like, I would expect, and I'm surprised that like these, like, that consumers aren't putting more expectations on them to like have the top of the line graphics. That's really the main thing that they need to invest in, is just better graphics. Like, all of their money could just go towards graphics and trying to be like staying at the top of the top. And actually, Noah, when we had him on Monday and he was talking about all the game releases, we talked about 2K21, and which just does not roll off the tongue, by the way. 2K20, 2K19, like, I feel like those were easier. 2K21 does not roll off the tongue. It's just a little weird. But it's just, like he was saying, like, you'd think they would be able to do the face models better. Like, the faces of the characters still look awful. So you'd think that they would put a little more time into the characters and the models and stuff like that. 2K22, that's better than 2K21, I think, in my opinion. Mr. Otter says, I think the largest issue is how there's just just version every year. The take some game, the same game and update it slightly argument could be used for just about any franchise, but there's no reason to pump out new ones every year. I would disagree with that about every franchise. Like I just said, like Call of Duty, like they are copying and pasting a lot of things, which is why they're able to come out with them so quickly, but they're just not. But they're not pumping them out like. For one, I don't think like they're coming out year after year, but also like they're doing new maps and stuff. That's another thing. Like they're making such a killing on sales because like even my brother has the Madden games and he has like 2K19 and 2K20 and 2K18, 2K17. So it's like, why? Why do you have like, because literally you're not seeing much of a difference until you have like 2 or 3 years apart. I could see I could see if you want to buy one every 2 years, 3 years to like have more recent graphics. And I understand most people buy it so they can have the most recent roster, but like that's like it. So it really doesn't make any sense to me. To go into what about the other thing, and yes, WWE games are the best. Okay, WWE games are the best of all the sports games. I don't care what you think. The WWE games. But the thing is, they're timeless classics. You don't need to buy new ones for that one either. You just buy one. That's the thing. I don't care if anyone buys sports games, just buy one of them. Buy one of them, hold on to it for 3 or 4 years, and then buy a new one. Not enough's changing to warrant you buying year after year the new games. Even the storyline is not worth it. I'm gonna quote our boy Mr. Otter here and say it's worth like you should spend at least, it's like $1 you should get an hour of gameplay for, right? If you spend $1, you get an hour of gameplay. I stand by Mr. Otter's statement there. But in terms of sports games, they're not different. So you could get that same hour of gameplay by playing 2K20 as opposed to buying new 2K21. Okay? It's going to be backwards compatible. You're going to be fine. You could throw it on there and if you want to get your PS5. It's not going to be that much different. If anything, the most arguable is with change of consoles. I could argue that one of the biggest times to switch over could be change of console, but you could see the graphics; they didn't look considerably better. So I don't think it's worth it there. But the thing is, like, if you're gonna like following that argument, if you're gonna spend $60 on this game, you want to get $60 out of the storyline of the game, and there's no way you're getting 60 hours of gameplay out of a storyline. Yeah, $1 per hour of gameplay. Yeah, I don't see it. WWE is cool, but the game is crap. Yeah, I get that. As sports fans, we just want rosters, and yes, it's WWE is the best. It's just so fun. But I can tell you this much: WWE, even though like it's so fun, I still have the 2K12. I have WWE 2K12, and I still on a rare occasion will throw that game on and play it. So like you have some friends over and you got some drinks or something, you play that. That's fun. So, but it's not that much different from then to now even. And that's the thing is like, just, it's not worth it. It's not worth the money to buy every year. Just wait a couple years. It's not a big deal. It's all about the roster. And that's going to go to the next part. And this is going to be me coming from the obvious. I'll go see sports balls live, but I won't do sports ball TV, So I'm not the biggest sports fan. A lot of you know that. But I'll tell you this much. There's if you're buying for the roster, is that worth $60 to just have an updated roster? I mean, like at the end of the day, they're not 1-to-1 ratios of those characters. The character to the athlete. Like you're not getting 1-to-1 representations of these characters to the actual athletes. Yeah, they're kind of scaled based on metrics and from their performance in like when they do their, I forget what it's called, but they do like their testing of the athletes and they do like their athletic feats, like their jump height and stuff like that. I get that. I get it. But it's not 1-to-1 ratio here. It's going to come down to playing how you play the game and stuff like that. It's really just like when you want more football or soccer or baseball or whatever. It's when you want some of that and you're not currently watching it, but like you're not getting the same experience as watching the TV show. It's a little bit different. At the end of the day, you're just playing your team. I don't really see the intrinsic value of knowing that that's that character. I don't see the intrinsic value of knowing that that's that athlete. Let's see what Mr. Otter said. You don't see Nintendo throwing out new Smash games every year with new rosters. They do one per console generation. That's what I feel like you should be doing with sports games. And then you do updates. That's my problem. My problem is not, I understand wanting to play with new rosters. That's not the issue. They should be doing that as updates. The roster should be doing as updates. I know they do that in between the games. I know they do that for like a year or two and then they just, get rid of it. They should be doing that like for the console, for the like length of the console, maybe, or maybe 3 years. It's just not enough change year to year to validate having like a whole new game every year. I think they know people are going to buy it. So they know if they stop getting the roster on the previous game, then you're going to get the new one so you can have the new roster. Like that's the only reason. It's not logical. It just doesn't make sense. Mr. Otter said, I think some diehard fans may buy for roster based on changes to their teams. Yeah, but those things are all changeable, like with just updates. You're paying for updates. At best, consider it DLC. At best, consider it DLC. But it really should just be an update. Like you should buy that game and just get it in updates. That's what for $60, that should be enough. At $60 plus PlayStation Live or Xbox Live, if you're paying for those, you should just get that. Stormbreaker said WWE should just make one game for a console, and if there are new wrestlers or pay-per-views, just add them as DLC. WWE should definitely do that because I don't think they're making as much in sales to make it worth it. But that would be worth it to me, even though I don't watch or anything like that. But that would make it probably better. Yeah, it's just updates. The new console Madden looks exactly the same. So that's my general my largest gripe with it, right? And then there's my next gripe, and this one is going to be where I probably lose some people. All right, I feel like most of you kind of are seeing what I'm saying here and my issues. I think most of you kind of agree, but I think there's a different thing you probably aren't going to fully agree. Okay, and here it is: when you play games. Let me read GB Crash first. The reason people like sports games is because it allows them to play sports vicariously through virtual players. Very good point. Very good point. I will acknowledge that. I'll acknowledge that, and that's kind of part of what I was going to say. If you like sports, okay, and you like watching sports, the reason we let's think about this. Let's think about this. I don't want to even say biologically. I don't feel like that's right. Psychologically, historically. I I don't know. There's something in there, all right? Let's think about it, okay? Why do we watch sports? If we date this back, people have had sports and big Coliseum stadium type events since the Coliseum, since before that. Like the Roman Coliseum was like a stadium full of people fighting. We like to see people in peak performance doing things that are above human level feats. We like seeing people do superhuman level feats, right? It's because our entertainment is derived from it being in a group watching superhuman feats from people that like are just way above the skill level that we could ever reach, right? We like seeing that. And we like seeing that contested against each other, which is why we like seeing we like seeing big team sports, because we like to see this collaborative of a large group of superhuman people doing things that are just, peak human level abilities. We like seeing that kind of stuff. And there's a level of violence that plays into it. We like to see violence. There's something in there. We just like to see violence, and we like to see superhuman feats, right? So we're taking this, and this is the peak, this is the intrinsic, that's the intrinsic interest there, right? And then there's a level of strategy that plays into it. When you go further into it, and this comes into our what is it to be a nerd, that we talked about on our previous stream, which is on YouTube. We just put it up last a day or two ago. I just put it up. But like, what is once you go further than that, right? You're starting to do I like the strategy of it. I like the technical information of it, right? So when you're trying to live it vicariously through that, you're trying to live out this thing so that you can feel superhuman, right? But at that point, my biggest problem is the reason sports, and I've had this argument with other people. I don't think sports by and large, I don't think the NBA, the NFL, or NHL, I don't think they have a very long lifespan left. And the reason I say that is I think come 2050, viewership on live sports is going to be way down. I think it's going to be way down. And the reason is because we want to see people, real people do superhuman acts, right? But graphics and image quality, models, right? Like animation, those things are getting closer and closer to human level. So probably some of you are starting to see where I'm going with this. When you look into video games, video game characters and models are starting to look more and more like us. They're not perfect yet, but esports is growing for a reason. Okay. So, and that's why you see team sports or team games are starting to pop up, because we still like that team dynamic. We still like to see a lot of people and follow them. But we're in that transition phase, okay? That's why people like Madden. That's why people like NBA. That's why people like, FIFA. The reason people like those games is because they're stuck in the transition period, okay? Because let's be honest, if we want to see people do superhuman things, we only were limiting it to sports, because back then we didn't have video games. When sports became popularized, we didn't have video games. So we didn't have anything higher than what our best humans could actually do. We didn't have something better than what our best humans could actually do, right? Their peak athletic performance was the absolute limit for what we could watch. So in that sense, FIFA and, basketball and soccer and baseball and football, those were the peak of what we could see a human do. And that's why we enjoyed it, because we saw people doing something at their peak. But as graphics become so close that we can see someone playing Madden online, they can do more things. There's more potential for a pro gamer to go on NFL or go on Madden and play football than there is actual football potentially. There's a potential there to go onto Madden and play football better than the actual football players. and you watch someone play in the game and they look real and they play better than your best football players in real life. So I get that, right? We're still in the transition phase where knowing there's a human there matters, right? So Madden and FIFA and you know, NBA or like 2K, like they all are like the transition period as we're starting to understand the difference between like, okay, I know that video games are giving, you know, these video game characters and the people behind them can do more than our actual athletes. But I'm not ready to see anything beyond that yet. It's the transition period where you're starting to acknowledge that video games have more potential for as an entertaining medium moving forward, but we're not ready to acknowledge that yet, which is why this is where my problem is. I understand why you play. I understand why people like them. I get it. But I feel like that's the intrinsic thing. It's like, I want to see my roster, but really it's like, okay, I want to follow these big but larger than life characters, but I'm not ready to make a full transition into video games yet. So here's, and you know, having the already pre-instilled like bias of loving sports makes it even easier to make that transition to video games. But when you get into video game world, you're taking that idea of larger than life, bigger, you know, superhuman feats, right? You're taking that concept and that you know, shock and awe of superhuman people doing crazy things on screen, right? Sports games are the minimum. Sports games are the lowest on the bar there. That's why when you look at like right now, a lot of people are in the transferring period, but like sports games are only limited to what they're trying to keep it realistic. They're trying to keep it realistic, but sports were never about realism. Sports were never about realism. When you watch, you know, NFL and NBA, and like, you're not watching them and thinking, I can do that. You're watching them like, I will never be able to do that. That is crazy that that's possible, right? So that's why we used to watch it, and we're still stuck in that. But I think when the transition is moving, because now we can get into video games, and there's much more possible. You know, the athletic feats you could create for football games could be so far, but you're limited by what football is, right? So that's my issue, is that you can't make. The problem is Madden and FIFA and NBA 2K, they can't do much different. They can't divert from what they are because there's nothing to add. There's nothing to add. They're stuck to realism. They're stuck to, this is what NBA is. This is the character, like the players that we can make. They're stuck to that. There's not a whole lot of room for innovation. Now, it would be really interesting to see what could they do if they could innovate. What could NBA look like if we changed basketball to be to cater to this new medium of video games? What would happen if we were to change the way basketball worked to cater to this new medium that it can now play in, which is video games? What would happen if we could transform Madden into a new game entirely that fits to the new medium that it's in, which is video games? Originally, we were confined by what just humans could do, but now we're not confined to that, and we can expand and we can add more to make this even broader and bigger and more advantageous and take more of what the new medium is and make it more exciting. There's potential there, and that's the thing, is like, I'm not saying, like, I get what it does, I get the purpose it serves, but it's so held back. I feel like there's so much potential in sports games, and maybe this is just me being a gamer. And I don't think sports games necessarily cater to the run-of-the-mill gamer that's looking for a good story and a good gameplay. Like, they're a different type of game for a different type of people. But I think there's potential there to service both markets. And I honestly think that, like, they're kind of held to this you know, expectation of just being the same every time. So that's kind of my thoughts. That's my real general qualm, is that I just think, like, in 30 years, we're going to follow games that really do exercise the medium that they're set in. You know, our Call of Duties, the reason Call of Duty is there is because it shows peak level accuracy and precision. and peak level campers, but that's a different thing. We're going to see Apex come out. I'm not saying Apex specifically. Apex and Fortnite, right? These new battle royales. They're going to show teamwork and gunplay, and they're going to show building and multitasking. They're going to show teamwork. They're going to show so much reflexes, planning, and athleticism in a different way. These are games that are going to start to show even more than athletes in sports could ever do, and they're going to appeal to the same people in a new generation. They're going to appeal to the same people in a new generation. Mark my words, 30 years, people are going to be more. Twitch is growing. Twitch is growing. YouTube's growing. All these game streaming things, they're not just nerds coming on and just watching games. Like, it's growing because gaming is the new biggest thing. Gotta go, Burke. See you in an hour. I will see you on Nerd Card Showdown, man. I'm super hyped for it. Thanks for coming out, by the way. Hope to see you tomorrow and on next Monday. I stream Monday, Wednesday, and now starting on Thursdays as well, which I'll get to a little bit later. But that's my general thing. I just think that they're held back. So let me get into your guys' comments on it, and then we'll get into open mic. Let's see. I feel like the big fans of games like Madden, 2K, or COD don't buy a whole lot of other games so they can justify themselves buying the new ones every year. That's very valid. Can you justify buying a $500 console, though? I don't know. For one game. Granted, I bought a Wii U for Smash. I didn't buy a Switch for Smash because I was broke at the time, but different story. Also, many sports games now have a story career mode, which is essentially a campaign with cinematic animations where you play and develop a character. Again, understand it. I guess it does service a different market. I do get it. I can see that. I'm already watching games simulate on Madden. Yeah. I really don't think, because honestly, I think we could see Madden replace the NFL in 30 years. I could see NBA 2K replacing the NBA in 30 years because you could just do more in games than you can than humans can. There's so much more potential. Because at the end of the day, that's what we want to see. We don't care about the sport. We don't care about anything other than just seeing people compete at a significant higher level skill than we thought possible. That's what we want to see. That's what we pay to see. That's what we watch all the time. That's what we're interested in. It's the same across everything, but that's particularly in sports. So anyway, that's my thing there. I really don't think esports will ever beat real sports. I can't live without my local soccer club. I don't think they're going to ever go away, but I think they're going to significantly decrease. I would bet. But whether the source is authentic matters to people. A virtual player does not have the effect of Messi. It's similar to art in that the origin of painting matters to us, even if forgery is identical. I'll actually argue differently. I'm trying to think of a really good example, but I'm blanking on his name. Ninja. What about Ninja, right? What about dude, there's so many. I'm sure you guys can. I'm honestly not even one of the biggest on the actual like streaming even. Like, but I can tell you that like people like are like I watch streaming on Apex, right? Apex is a game I'm super into, just like somebody's into football. And I know a lot of the pro players, right? I know who plays. And people like Melee, right? Smash Melee, that's a big one as well. People know all the players, right? So you watch those. Same with Modern Warfare or Fortnite, right? Like you watch those and you follow those athletes because that's who you get hooked on. And they play as characters. They play as characters that you also enjoy, but you really, the characters are a medium, just like your cleats or the football or your pads. Like they're just parts of it, or your team, right? Your team jersey. Like those are just parts of that, but you are the player behind that model, right? That's what's going to be big. That's what's going to be big. Not the character you're playing as, but the person that you are behind the camera, behind the controller. That's going to be huge. It's going to be a shift. It's going to be a huge dynamic shift. Huge. It's already starting. Streamers, some of the top streamers are making, hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars a year. It's no small thing. And I mean, they're pro athletes. And that's just from streaming, by the way. That's not even from their competitions. Think about the access you have to gamers versus athletes, right? Athletes aren't streaming their, practice 24/7. Not that I'm aware of. I mean, but you can watch 24/7 on streaming. It's also going to be a huge power shift to the streamers themselves. It's really giving power back to the athletes, so to speak. But anyway, it's a whole different thing. Let's see. I don't think it's a matter of authenticity, though. I don't really think it is. I think because at the end of the day, yeah, the characters are the medium, like the ball or like the cleats. They're just a medium. What matters is the player behind it, and I think that translates just as well as an athlete does. If there's lifelike virtual reality sports games, maybe I see your point, which is coming. I think it's coming. It still doesn't replace reality. World War III will be over consoles. I said virtual player in those cases. The source is human. Yep. Yeah. But I think at all of them, it comes down to like the player is going to be what matters. I think it's going to be what matters. But anyway, that is the end of my rant on why sports games suck on Wednesdays. So I will be doing another one on next Wednesday. So if you have ideas for things that suck and you want to run them by me, feel free to do so. And I'll cover it in another episode if it's something I also think sucks. If I don't think it sucks, I'm not going to do it.